And joining us right now, great to welcome a woman who's written a really interesting book about something we all kind of pay attention to, I guess, maybe more than we should. It's called The Stars in Our Eyes, the famous, the infamous, and why we care way too much about them. And we're joined today by best-selling author Julie Klam. She's from up in New York City today and joined us by telephone. Julie, good to talk with you. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, how are things? I grew up in New York. How are things in the city nowadays? Pretty wild, I guess.
Hot, and I know it's very, very hot. And it could, New York. It can only be humid and gross, but other than that, lovely.
I know they're having trouble with the railroads up there. I keep an eye on that.
There's trouble with everything. You can't keep up with what's going on.
No, that's why I left. I like it. I love the city, but living there got a little bit too much.
Right.
Well,
I totally understand.
First of all, congratulations on the book, and again, I think as I said, everybody kind of pays attention. Probably, like you said, way too much, more than we should, depending on who we're being bombarded with in the media. But I guess celebrities, really, that whole thing has changed a lot in the past 10 or 15 years now with the internet, right? And just a whole different world.
You're absolutely. We have access to celebrities like we never did before. When I was a kid, if I wanted to learn about Richard Gere, I had to go to my local magazine store and buy a magazine that had an article about him. Now, you can Google anybody. You can look at their Twitter feeds, their Instagram feeds. It's pervasive. There's TV channels completely devoted to celebrity coverage. It's a different world.
Yeah, everybody's their own PR person now, right? No matter who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas it used to be a very curated sort of picture you were getting of a celebrity, now you have, the unfiltered, actor drunk tweeting for themselves, and you get a real picture that you might not have, back in the old days.
I guess, when I was a kid, and even before that, celebrities really were people either you saw in the movies or on television, and really their private lives were, for the most part, you didn't know a lot about them. I mean, unless they did something really kind of, salacious. But now you hear about everybody's business, and a lot of it I don't want to know about.
Yeah. Well, you don't, but there's a whole bunch of people who do.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a cottage industry. I mean, there a lot of money is paid to find out these little bits of dirt or post these embarrassing pictures or get these stories from somebody's dry cleaner or whatever, and there seems to be an unending hunger for it, and maybe it'll change at some point, but right now, it's just everywhere.
And that's kind of the point of your book. You do it in a humorous way, but you also bring up the point. Why are we really interested in this? I mean, obviously, there's some salacious interest in anything like that, but some people just go too far with it. Their whole lives are based on wondering what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's unhealthy obsessions, but for the most part, people who are interested, if you think about the things that you do to make you happy, maybe watching a ball game or going to the movies or listening to an album or reading a book, and the people who are behind these things that give you pleasure are these celebrities who you like to hear about beyond this little dimension and see what they're doing and what they're wearing and who they're married to or that sort of thing. And then it's like a little bit of that, and then it kind of can snowball into where you're hearing horrible personal things about somebody that no one should have exposed, but there we are.
Yeah, again, not to go back way too much in time, but when I was a kid, celebrities would go on talk shows, but they were different types of talk shows, like Merv or Mike Douglas or even the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. They had some fun, maybe with it, but it was never really too wild. But now all those entertainment Tonight shows and all those gossip shows, there's nothing left to the imagination.
Yeah. I mean, I and I think that the pendulum has really swung far at this point, and it may, come back to that. And there are certainly people who celebrities who've said enough and they've left, and or shut down their social media, or they only appear in conjunction with movies. I think there are other ones who are maybe more troubled people who have difficulty doing that, and people just sit around waiting for it.
I always wondered, now have we reached the saturation point with social media? I mean, particularly with show business. I know in business world it can be helpful, but I wonder if social media really does anything to help promote a movie now. I don't know. Maybe young people do follow it more.
It does. It does. If you look at people, if you look at young people, and you can actually see if their eyes are looking at you, you're doing pretty well. But mostly they're looking at their phones.
That's true.
They're looking at their while they look at Instagram, there's an ad for a movie that somebody thinks they're going to be interested in, and the people who are doing this are very smart about it. Saturation. Until people stop making money from it, there's not going to be a stopping.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great tool, not knocking it, but I just wondered, with so much out there, but like you said, young people, you're right, very few of them actually, if you talk to them, look in your eye. That's true.
Right.
Talking like, 25 and under, maybe 30 and under, right?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the funny parts of the book, I enjoyed the chapter, and you wrote about, I would say your obsession, but, you were a big fan of Jennifer Aniston, and the whole Brad and Jen and Brad and Angelina thing was a big part of your celebrity interest, right?
Yeah, I actually had gone to therapy, and the day that Brad and Jen announced they were splitting, and I was upset. I mean, I wasn't crying, but I was upset. My therapist said, "What happened?" And I said, "This is going to sound nuts, but I'm very upset about Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston splitting up." And she said, "You have no idea how many of my clients have come in and talked about that." So, it wasn't just me, and it was a lot of there were a lot of people kind of get wrapped up in these things, and I'm sure that it's a projection of something going on in their lives, my life, and a wish for things to look as happy and nice as they appear to be.
It's almost like the soap operas. People used to watch those when there were more of them on TV. You got involved with the characters, but now these are real people having these issues, right? They're not made up stories. So I guess it's similar to that, right?
Right.
Yeah, real life soap operas.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's what reality TV is.
Sure.
Exactly, those Real Housewives.
I like how you intersperse, too, some of the people in your little intermission sections. A lot of people that also cover celebrity. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I had when I would talk to people about writing this book, every person I talked to had a celebrity story, and they were anxious to share it. And I just thought there was something fascinating about the detail and the excitement with which they could recall this experience, where you would say they would say this happened in 1986. Where were you living then? I don't remember. It's like these things stood out so much to them, and I thought, I want to include this.
Right.
And I actually, it was my book launch last night, and I did a big event at a Barnes & Noble, and I would say 75% of the questions, or 90% of the questions, were not questions and people standing up and saying, when I was living in this building downtown and they were shooting this movie in my building and blah, 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 blah. Like they're sharing their stories, and I like hearing them too. I think they're fun glimpses into, it's like a magazine can't get that.
Right, sure. Well, as I say, it's a great summer read, and again, the name of the book is The Stars in Our Eyes. We've been talking with Julie Klam today, and Julie, I know you said the book just came out, getting good reviews from the notes I've read, but give out a website, people get more information about it.
Yeah, it's Julie Klam, JuliekLam.com.
Great. Julie, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again, and thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks very much.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.